I've got a cocktail that I'm going to fix for you tonight that's going to be absolutely amazing. Turn the music down just a little bit. I'm going to keep it playing though. Yeah, that's about right. All right. Thank you. I'm wearing my blouse for a reason. We'll talk about that in just a moment. It's happy hour, May 22nd, 2020. Sometimes we have happy hour, early day, mid-afternoon, late at night, sometimes a nightcap. Happy hours whenever you need to lift yourself and go to that new place. So tonight, as we enter into happy hour, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. So of course I'm wearing my patriotic top. Memorial weekend or Memorial Day is a federal holiday here in the United States, honoring and mourning and just remembering all of the military personnel who worked for years to protect our land and to protect our nation, and they passed away while in the armed services or have passed away. So we celebrate them during Memorial. Hello, Kim Slade, come on in. So we celebrate them on Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is observed on the last Monday in May. And it started way back in the 1800s, 1868 to be exact, when Memorial Day started. And it's still a tradition and it's still a part of life today. Most people, when they celebrate Memorial Day, they'll go out and place flags at the headstone or the tombstone of the loved ones, or at the memorial cemeteries or at the national cemeteries. It's just a tradition, and it's a part of what America does. We appreciate the men and women who served and even given their lives or passed on after their time in the military. So tonight, as our cocktail for the evening, C is for courage, O is for overcoming, C is for connections, K is for knowledge, T stands for truths, A for advancing, I for instructions, and L is always about love. So the cocktail of the evening, our starting point is going to be with Memorial Day. All right, with Memorial Day, when you have a memorial, you normally celebrate or remember or pay honor or homage to something, whether it's a structure or whether it's established, whatever it is, but it's a reminder of a person, place, or an event of the past that has passed on. If it's a person, usually it's a memorial of that person who had passed away and died. So in this Memorial Day weekend, many people will be remembering and reminiscing and going back in time. They'll have plaques that will help them to remember. They'll have statues that will help them to remember. There may be a tombstone or a grave marker. It could be a monument. It could be a shrine. It could be some item of tribute, a song, or a picture, or plaque, or trophy. It could be a souvenir, but it's always something to jar your memory, to remind you of what was. So on this Memorial Day weekend, I want to talk to those things that serve to remind you of something from your past. Many times it's difficult for us to move on in our future because we are yet holding shrines and tombstones and memorials and artifacts and pictures and things that remind us of what used to be. But I want this Memorial weekend to be the greatest Memorial weekend of your lifetime. I'm already into Memorial weekend. I have on my my patriotic shirt, my red, white, and blue, my stars and stripes forever. But I want you to begin to only have the memory of those things that are going to add to your life. Romans 12:2 is going to be our scripture for the evening. Romans 12:2, Paul writes, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, be ye changed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove that which is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God." And so I chose that particular scripture because many times we fail to renew our mind in the places where we've been hurt, where the places where hello niece, hello Lady Paris, hello, come on in. Many times as we go into this celebration of Memorial Day weekend, we are stuck in the memory of what used to be. Memorials are tributes and honorings and remembrance of what was. I just want to shift you in happy hour tonight to a place where you begin to deal with the real thing. Many of the memories of some of our past is so painful that every time we allow ourselves to go there, it sends us in a tailspin. It sends us into a place where we're regretful, we're painful, we remember what was. I need to shift you tonight. I need to transition you during happy hour with our drink of choice tonight. I want you to let those things that no longer serve you, that no longer benefit you, the memories of your past, whatever triggers that place inside of you that caused old hurt and old pain and old disappointment and old discouragement to rise up. We want that to be bygone. This is a Memorial Day for us to celebrate the military veterans, but everything that have died in your life and everything that used to be in your life and everything that you have shifted and gone on and it no longer serves you purpose, I pray over you beginning now that you're able to let those things go and you renew your mind that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. There are some things from our past that used to serve us, but at this point, you've moved on and they are not beneficial anymore. So let this Memorial Day 2020, be the time. Hey, honey, hello, Indianapolis. How are you tonight? Let this be the time that you decide, enough is enough. I'm not going to allow myself to go down memory lane where I allow what used to be, what once was, but it is no more, to come back and haunt me and taunt me and carry me into a deep, dark place. And so tonight, as we ask God to renew our mind, let's just work with the real thing. I decided, I pulled out my Coke glass. I hope you can see this. This is a big old glass. And my sister-in-law bought this for me probably 25 years ago. And because that's her favorite beverage. I'm not a Coke person, but we're going to work with the Coke because its theme is, it's the real thing. I want you tonight to be able to release whatever you need to release, and let's latch on to the real thing. So I have my Coke glass. I'm not a Coke drinker, but I understand. Yeah, when it's the real thing, it makes that look, it still has its fizz. If it was flat, you wouldn't drink it. You would want the real thing. So I'm going to pour tonight into my Coke glass. Oh, look at the fizz. Bring it over where you can see it. I want the real thing in my life. I don't want the fizz of the past. I don't want the old, dry, lifeless of the past. I need my mind renewed. And I need to be able to empty out what was not what was, but it is no more. And be able to move on to a place in my life where what used to be doesn't haunt me anymore. Romans 12:2 says, You have to be transformed. You have to be pushed. You have to be instructed how to move out of yesterday and move into today. I'm going to take a sip right there because now I'm not a brown drinking girl. That's pretty good right there. It's good and strong. You feel it down. I feel it behind my stars and stripes right now. But, as the drink of choice for tonight, and you know, you drink what you drink, but I'm drinking from the real thing tonight. I don't want a Czech soda. I don't want a bubble cola. I don't want what wanna be the real thing. I need the real thing so that anything I need to burp, release, and pass on, it's got the gusto, it's got the fizz to help me move forward. When we find that there are people, places, and things, memories that no longer serve us, that's no longer useful, no longer healthy, nor is it helpful, then those are the things that we have to ask God to transform us. There are some things that just the thought of it, you say, Anybody ever besides me said, what you don't want to do is try that with me. Yeah, that's that feeling right there. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the things that we've got to be transformed in our mind so that what used to be won't vex us in this time and this season. What want to be won't vex us in this time and this season. And when we hold on to memorials, when we hold on to tombstones, when we hold on to pictures and places and things and thoughts and smells and music and screensavers, if the thing that brings you the most pain is the person whose picture is on the face of your phone, then you can do something about that. You can exchange screens. If the thought of having that person, place, or thing near you still vex you, still torment you, then it's your responsibility to say, you know what? I'm going to sit right there. And I'm going to do what I need to do to dismiss anything that's not useful to me in this hour, anything that's not helpful to me, and definitely anything that's not healthy for me. You got to go. So I thank you for being here tonight. And I have your chair here. You're my co-host. When I go, you go. When I ride, you ride. When I sip, you sip. We're sipping off of the real thing tonight. So I speak to everything and anything and anybody and any place that comes to torment you mentally, to emotionally bankrupt you and vex you, whether you have a birthright, you have spiritual authority, you have what you need to be released and move forward. So tonight, the first thing you want to do is recognize, what is it that does me like this? Who is it that does me like this? Be honest. That's number one. You got to be honest and recognize what it is. Identify it, be aware of it, discover what pushed you in that place, a dark place. All of us have got something, someone, or something that can make us go there in a split 60 seconds. But tonight, I want you to, number one, be able to recognize what it is. Number two, recognize when it happens. Is it when you're by yourself? Is it when you hear a song? Is it when you smell a smell? Is it when something pushes you there? So you got to recognize when it happens. What sent me there? How did I get in this dark place? That's the place I need you, God. I'm going to sit right there to transform and renew my mind. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to run and operate and be a public success, but a private failure in my private time. Help me, Lord, to be able to release whoever, whatever, or wherever I need to release. So the first thing, you got to recognize what it is. Secondly, recognize when it happens to you. Number three, after you know what it is and when it happens, the third thing you got to do, look for solutions. Thinking about it isn't just going to be helpful. You got to work on it. It's what you do about what's going on. Unless you're actively looking for a solution, then you're just tolerating it and letting it happen. Let me take a sip of the real thing. Now, I don't really drink Coke, but that's not bad, niece. I like that, right? Okay, let me get to the lesson. All right. Ask yourself, number three, when you're looking for the solution, what can I do? What can I do? Number four, set aside time to think. Set aside time to think. Set aside time to think. Think about moving on. Think about what you need to do. Think about what you're thinking about so you know what to think about. You got to set aside time to think about it. The fifth thing you want to do is when that comes up, you got to distract yourself. Train yourself. When I feel like I'm about to feel like that, let me refocus. Let me shift. Let me change my thinking. Let me redirect my focus. Because what I'm not going to do is allow this thing to vex me and torment me and send me downhill to that dirty place, to that raggedy place, to that wretched place, to that place where I am tired of hanging out when certain things push me there. So when you distract yourself, you find a way, you find a task, you find an outlet to redirect your focus. Change the channel of your mind. When you feel it coming, don't wait to be in it 3 days. When you feel it coming, get your remote and change the channel. You can change the channel and prevent yourself from going there. On this Memorial Day, this is a time set aside for military focus, for veteran focus, for those who served in the military. But this is not the hour. This is not the time for you to relive some pain of your yesterday. All right? Number 6, practice mindfulness. Practice mindfulness, meaning you can adjust your mind. The scripture says, be not conformed, be not adjusted to just what's going on here, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove you don't have me, I have you. That I am bigger, I'm better, and I have moved on. I've not just moved on in my talk, but I've moved on in my mindset. I've moved on in my determination, and I will not be sentenced to what was. On this Memorial Day, come on, let's move to a new place, a better place, a place where you practice mindfulness, meaning you completely shift. You transition to the present. When you feel that going back, don't let it happen. Oh, come on, you've got to discipline yourself to the point where you say, no. That's what you used to do. You came out of my past. You are a tombstone. You are used to be. You are no longer in that place in my mind. I am renewed. I am refurbished. I am refinished. I am refreshed by the God of my salvation. And I refuse to let you take me back to a place that it takes me days and weeks and months to recover. So you have to practice mindfulness. You have to meditate. You have to rethink some things. You have to shift your focus. Guess what? That's your responsibility. That's your assignment. When you feel it coming on, shift. When you feel it happening, shift. Sometimes you can have a thought that will send you to a place like, you say, how did I get here? Because you dwelt on that thing and we never got to the bottom of it. But when we ask the Father to renew our mind, put me in the right place at the right time, I am not going to live in a sentence or in a prisoner, as a prisoner, to this thing that happened, this place where I used to be, this person that was. So what? If it's over, it's over. So what? Let it go. That's the only way you're going to stay on top of things. You got to, and practicing mindfulness, it takes practice. It just doesn't happen because you say you're going to do it. You have to push through the adversaries. You have to push through the strongholds. You have to push through the things that have come on purpose and intentionally to keep you sentenced, shackled to something that used to be. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. When you begin to practice mindfulness, you become mentally strong and you develop the ability to move on. So tonight, whatever you got to do, however you got to do it, whatever it takes for you to stay on top of where you are now and not spiral down to where you used to be, let's work on it. Lord, renew our mind. Father, don't even let me think about it. And when the thoughts come, give me the ability to, number one, recognize what it is. Number two, recognize when it happens. Number three, look for solutions. Well, what am I going to do? If you still have that trophy of what used to be, what good does it serve? Let it go. Discard it. Give it to somebody else. I mean, if it's history, let it be history. Only dwell on those things that are present for the now. If it is a place that pains you and haunt you and vex you and torment you, then God himself is going to help you get to that and beyond it. So you got to recognize it, recognize when it happens, look for solutions, look for what you can do. Set aside think time. Every day you need to think about something new, something different, what's ahead of you. Begin to plan the next 6 months. Where are you going to be in 90 days? What are you going to do after this COVID-19 is over? What's next for you? There's so much more for you to think on and concentrate on, focus on it, and consecrate to. Besides what was and who was. If they're gone, get somebody. Let them go. Let them go. Some things are just history for you. And Memorial Day is all about celebrating and remembering and honoring the history of what was. Let this, and I'm going to take a sip right there, start something new, something different, something better. Number 5, you got to distract yourself. Train yourself. When I feel it come, God be my help, God be my strength, I'm not going to let it keep taking me there. You can live better. You can live greater. There's a strength inside of you to redirect your thinking. And number 6, you have to practice mindfulness, completely being in the present. How do I get there? Think on these things. Meditate. Breathe. You know what you're not going to do? Memory, memorial, tombstone, used to be, yesterday. What you're not going to be is hurt me now like you hurt me back then, and I keep reliving it. Whatever I got to let go, Lord, make me free so that I can live on and live free. On this Memorial Day, celebrate your freedom. I mean, don't forget those who paid the price. We thank God for them. Well, what price are you paying for something that simply used to be? Practice mindfulness. Decide to be mentally strong and move on without the disruption.